We are only days away from the first ever Winter Classic in Miami. The Panthers rally back in Raleigh against the Carolina Hurricanes, and a whole bunch of other stuff to talk about on this edition of the Florida Panthers Insider Podcast. All right. Well, Merry Christmas. It's a Christmas edition. The day after, but close enough, of the Florida Panthers Insider Podcast, powered by Floridahockeynow. Excited to have you guys with us today on the show. My name is Josh Licht. I'm the host, and with me is the insider himself, George Richards. George, Merry Christmas, my friend.
Merry Christmas to you, Josh. Hope you had a good one.
I did. You know, my wife tells me that the 12 days of Christmas actually starts on Christmas Day. So
really?
Apparently, yesterday is only day one. And
wow.
I started thinking about that song, and I don't know, it's too many birds. I don't
Yeah,
think
there's
I'm
a
gonna
lot
get
of
into
birds,
that.
right? Partridges and the partridge family
Pear
and
trees.
something. I don't know.
Yeah.
My favorite version of that is the Bob and Doug McKenzie one. I don't know if you that's going way back in the back into the 80s, the old Bob and Doug McKenzie characters and having beer in a tree and stuff like that. 5 packs of smokes, that kind of thing. So anyway,
Yeah.
Merry
That's a
Christmas.
fun song.
Did you get anything good? Is the question.
Speaking of birds, I got a bird feeder with a little camera in it.
The little
Pretty
camera, the
excited
bird
about
feeder,
that.
so they fly up, and then you can say, "Hey, that's an Oriole. That's a Baltimore Oriole."
That's it. Yeah. Gunnar Henderson right there. So I think that's a sign that you're getting old. Like when you get excited about a bird feeder, but that's where I'm at. So pretty excited.
Yeah, but it's a high tech bird feeder, so you'll be able to make some really cool bird videos.
Yeah.
And who doesn't like those? Not this guy. This guy's a fan, so I'm looking forward to seeing your bird videos, buddy.
Yeah, we'll start a bird corner of the podcast where I'll just at the
end. All right, this week in Josh's bird cam.
What about you, man? Did you have a good Christmas?
Yeah, it was a good time. Had a good time with the family and hung out, and very nice. Had a good time and watched some football and some basketball.
Yeah, the biggest gift for you is probably Miami Hurricanes winning a college football playoff game.
It's been a while, eh?
That was pretty fun.
Yeah, been a while for the Hurricanes. Yeah. So the Hurricanes now in the Cotton Bowl, New Year's Eve in Dallas or Arlington, whatever, Jerry's World, Miami and Ohio State. So little civil war going on between my family, a lot of Ohio folks, and then the Hurricanes. It should be fun.
Yeah, the Miami Hurricanes are going to be playing there. That's going to be great. Well, right before the Christmas break, the holiday freeze, some call it, the Panthers delivered a present for Florida Panther fans. Down 2-0 going into the third period in Raleigh against the Carolina Hurricanes. The Panthers storm back, scoring 5 goals in the third period to win the hockey game. Did you have some thoughts on that miraculous Christmas miracle comeback for the Cats?
I know that was only on Tuesday, but it feels like it was a couple weeks ago, right? Yeah, just another great comeback for the Panthers. Again, multi-goal comeback. I believe it was their third one this month. Definitely the second one in a week, both against the Carolina Hurricanes. Remember on Friday night, Florida Panthers are down 3-0. In the third, 10 minutes left to play in the third. Florida storms back. You get a Brad Marchand goal. Then Sam Bennett scores, and I believe it was Bennett that scores the game-tying goal. They win it in a shootout. Evan Rodriguez with the shootout winner. And what a comeback that was. That was the first time the Florida Panthers had ever rallied from a 3-goal deficit midway through the third period and won the game. They'd done it a couple other times, but that was back in the days where you could have ties. So a historical win on Friday. They're exhausted on Saturday. They play the St. Louis Blues. it's a tie game, but they end up getting blown out of that one. And it's just like, okay, you could kind of see it coming as the game went along. Um, so Paul Maurice, after the game, goes, "We're going to rest the team. We're going to get some rest. I know we'll be right when we go to Carolina." They go to Carolina and they did not look right, right? I mean, just a continuation of the St. Louis game. They just didn't have anything going. They didn't have the legs. They're down 2-0 early in the second period. And Paul Maurice lets him have it on the bench, right? He doesn't do this often. A lot of people are always asking me, the Panthers will lose a game and they'll be like, oh, I bet you Paul just lit into them. They're going to have a bag skate tomorrow. That's not his style. That's just not his style. A lot of times when they lose like that, he doesn't say a word to them because he knows that they know. And sometimes less is more. This time he let him have it on the bench. It wasn't as bad as we've seen before. I couldn't really see too many F bombs being dropped. But he let him have it there in the second period. It's 2-0 going into the third, and then it's boom, 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 boom. Four straight goals before I forget who scored the fifth. Seth Jones gets the fifth one on the power play with like 2 minutes left. But by then, the damage had been done. Florida scores like 4 goals within 4.5, 5, 6 minutes, I think. Again, it seems like it was longer a while ago. Um, Heck of a win, heck of a comeback win. They did it again. They beat both of Carolina's top two goalies in Brandon Busey on Friday, who played an excellent game against the Panthers. And then on Tuesday night in Raleigh, they beat Freddie Anderson. So Rod Brindamore, not happy. Can't be happy to get 1 point out of 2 games with the Florida Panthers in 2 games that he led by by double, multi goals
Multiple
leads.
goals.
Yeah, going into the third. Um, so yeah, a good win for the Panthers to go in on the break. They needed some time off. They haven't done anything. They won't do anything until they gather for the morning skate Saturday morning before playing the Tampa Bay Lightning. So they've had some needed rest, but they're going to need it because this schedule, we'll talk about it later, I'm sure. This schedule's really going to pick up. This is a big week for the Panthers, obviously, with they've got 3 home games in 4 days, and then you got the Winter Classic. So
Big week.
I hope they rested the legs a little bit this week.
Well, it's interesting you talk about that rant from Maurice, and I'm really hoping that the TNT cameras were on that for the Road to the Winter Classic show, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But
Yeah,
it's interesting because you think about there's another epic moment where Maurice gave a rant on the bench in Toronto.
yeah,
Alex Lyons starting in goal, Panthers playoff hopes on the line. Keith Kachuk does a radio interview that morning, calls the team soft,
yep.
and Paul Maurice goes off on the bench. And if you remember, the shot that everybody kind of referred back to was everyone on the bench locked in on what Maurice had to say.
Well,
And Matthew
especially Ryan
Kachuk,
Lomberg. Ryan Lomberg looked like a
yeah,
little kid.
yeah, I remember that. And Kachuk being like super locked in on
Yeah.
what he was saying. And then, of course, they turn the whole season around, make the playoffs, and go all the way to the Stanley Cup final. And I feel like it was an interesting scene in that game in Raleigh because Paul, like you said, this is not, he's not a guy who flies off the handle on the bench, who's screaming and yelling. And but he does, he goes off on him a little bit. You see Brad Marchand locked in on the bench. And then all of a sudden, the team starts to turn it around. And, it's interesting. After the game, they asked Paul about it. They asked him about the rant. They asked him about what's turned the team around. And Paul, like he always does, deflects, pressure off his players. But listen to what Paul Maurice had to say after the Raleigh rally.
There was a moment in the second period during one of the TV timeouts where you were pretty emphatic on the bench, sharing a message with your players. Can you share with us?
Yeah, and it changed nothing. Right, it did nothing to change. That third period's the players, they handled all that. I was responsible for the first two. I didn't have my team ready to play tonight. And credit to them. Understand the importance that even if you're going to lose the game, you have to lose it a certain way, and we hadn't played the way we needed to play. But that's I wasn't very good tonight, but fortunately my players were in the third.
What impressed you most about that third period effort, once again stunning the Carolina Hurricanes?
You know what? You get on a roll in this league. You get emotion is such a huge part of it, and hey, you know, a goal from the fourth line, right? Those guys work so hard, and haven't had a lot to show for their hard work. So that had a lot to do with it. I think we played a third period in Colorado. We were down 5-1, and we were in one, to say the least. But we played hard in the third period, so that started a 4-game winning streak for us. So it was really, really important, whether we won or lost the game, that we could find a way to right the ship and play a hard smart third period, and that was their task, and they accomplished it.
So I love that, George, because we saw it in the Road to the Winter Classic episode that aired this week. You know, Paul Maurice, during that Colorado meltdown, he says in the locker room, "Hey guys, if we're going to lose, we're going to lose playing our game,
Right.
right? We're going to lose
Yeah.
playing our game. We're not going to, melt down." And so I love just that level-headed, this is who we are and this is how we play the game. What did you see out of all this, George?
Well, I noticed that the backdrop there in Raleigh was blowing like a hurricane force wind. That's the famous wind tunnel in Raleigh. The air just blows like crazy, so you could see the thing behind him going like. Anyway, um, yeah, you talk about what he said in the Avalanche game. We're going to play and they did, like he said. He said, Paul Maurice said after that game, we didn't quit down 5-1. It was a 6-2 final in Colorado, but the Panthers played a pretty good third period. And at the end of the day, this is a results based business. A lot of people only look at that 6-2 final, but Paul Maurice was like taking, gleaning nuggets out of it. That yeah, they could have packed it in, and this team just doesn't pack it in, and that's why they got the win Friday night. Brad Marchand was asked Friday night, hey, you got a back to back, you're down 3-0, 10 minutes left in the game. He's like, guys, it's game 35. There's no pressure. Let's just, we won the game. We don't, this isn't a team of quitters. He said a team that would pack it in at that point. That's the difference between a team that doesn't make the playoffs and a championship team. We know what the Panthers are. They're a championship team, the two-time defending Stanley Cup champions. They just don't quit. Even if the game doesn't go their way, that's what Paul was saying. Listen, he's not worried about the result at that point. They're down 2-0 in the third. Let's just play a strong third and roll the dice and see what happens. Maybe you don't win. Maybe somebody, Carolina scores that third goal and it's 3-2 and that's, but that didn't happen. Florida ends up scoring 5 unanswered in the third and they get the win. And it's a big 2 points for the Panthers, who are, right now, right back in the thick of things. And like we talked about at the beginning of the month, Josh, they were 5 points, 6 point. Now they're right in the mix. So,
Well, yeah, the weather might be cooler, but the Panthers are getting hotter. As you mentioned, 8-2 in their last 10, coming back, and guys are starting to feel like themselves again.
yeah, and it's
We've talked
looking
a little
like
bit
it,
about
right?
that.
It's looking like it,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, they're looking like themselves. And can they keep this up? I don't know, but they're doing it right now. They're playing. You can see the forecheck they're playing a strong forechecking game. They're getting pucks deep. They're playing in front of the net. I don't know if it can continue like this, but basically they've got 5 weeks before the Olympic break, and then everybody's getting. Well, not everybody, but maybe 3 players are getting from the Panthers are getting a nice little break. So we'll see if they can keep it up. But this is a big stretch coming up.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's talk about a couple of players, one that's playing and one that hopefully will play soon. Let's talk about Sergei Bobrovsky.
Okay.
Bobrovsky's had some great play here in the last week or so. And one of the big milestones in his career is he moved up into eighth
Eighth
on the
place. Yeah.
all-time list of wins for a goalie, tying Terry Sawchuk, the great Detroit Red Wing goaltender. So Sergei Bobrovsky has been, it seems, back to form. He's playing a little
Yeah.
bit more his game. And that's the Panthers need Sergei Bobrovsky to be good. right? They don't need him to always win the game, but
No,
they need him to be good in order for them to be successful. And he has been good for them in the last few starts.
Sergei's Vezina days are over, right? Safe to say, Josh, just because he doesn't care about the numbers. He again, it's the same kind of thing that we just talked about with Paul Maurice. He cares more about the process. He cares more about the individual game. Um, yeah, he might win a Conn Smythe. I'm not saying it, but his Vezina days
Right.
are over because he's not going to carry that load. He's not trying to shut out every game, which is what he did as a younger goalie. I think we're seeing that a little bit with Vasilevsky. He's just, listen, I'm just going to we're going to be fine if I play my game. And that's how Sergei approaches things. Um, yeah, he's been great. You see the saves that he makes. And then you look at the underlying number and you're like, yeah, the numbers don't look great. Not the underlying numbers, but the the
The
traditional numbers,
goals.
the goals against, the save percentage. And you'd be like, what's wrong with Sergei Bobrovsky? Have you watched the games? Because even some of those games where he's given up 4 goals, he's played well. Um, Florida's had some breakdowns. It's regular season hockey, and everybody's mindset on the Panthers is different, including Sergei Bobrovsky's.
Yeah. It's lock in and get to the playoffs, right? That's the goal.
Don't
And
kill
that's what they're,
yourself now.
yeah, yeah. Don't burn out all your energy. And it seems like they're doing a good job of pacing themselves, but staying in the mix, in the wild card mix, and also just a couple points out of being in the Atlantic Division mix. So they're doing
Yeah.
really well with all of that. And then the second player I wanted to ask you about, George. I know everyone's asking. I saw your mailbag that you put on Florida Hockey
The
Now.
mailbag, yes.
The mailbag's out there. Check that out. If you haven't gone over to floridahockeynow.com, you can see that right now. George answers some burning questions there. I won't make him repeat them here. You got to go to the website if you want to read them there. But the overall theme, one of them, has to do with Matthew Tkachuk.
Yep.
He talked about on his podcast, Wingmen with Brady, that he's feeling well. He's just looking for a chance to practice, just like you mentioned on our show, George. There's not a lot of chances for him to get into a full practice, to feel that feeling of getting hit by an NHL caliber defenseman, and all of that. But it does feel like the days are shortening here for the return of Matthew Tkachuk. What's the latest that you've heard on that, George?
Well, no, nothing, because the Panthers just haven't been around. Like I said, Paul Maurice wanted to give his team some time off. Monday was supposed to be a scheduled practice day before they flew to Raleigh. That was canceled. I thought that there was going to be a practice on Friday, but I forgot about the mandatory three-day break. So again, the Panthers aren't on the ice until Saturday. And you guys all know by now, the morning skates, they don't do anything. So even if Matthew Tkachuk is on the ice Saturday morning, that's really not a practice. That's just it's a morning skate around. They're skating around. There's no physicality to it. Matthew Tkachuk told his brother Brady on Wingmen that he needs to get hit. He's looking forward to getting hit. He's looking forward to getting bodied by Aaron Ekblad, by Gus Forsling, because he needs that. He's a hockey player who has not been hit since June. The Panthers have been very careful with his rehab. Most of his skating has been without a puck. It's just been, the up and the back, the side to, trying to get his cardio going, getting his legs going, and then they'll get him into the practice. Long story short, they don't have any practice time. Morning skate, Saturday game. Will they practice on Sunday? I don't know. But if they do, it's not going to be much, because guess what? They play Monday and Tuesday back to back. So you get 3 games in 4 days. So even if they practice, over here, it's not going to be that physical, 45-minute practice. It's going to be basically a morning skate. Hey guys, come, so I don't even know what they're going to do Sunday. So anyway, then you got a day off. Then you got another game, and then, then you got what is it? New Year, when's the Winter Classic on Friday?
It's the second. Yeah.
It's
so they
the
have
second.
Wednesday.
You've got a practice on the 1st at Marlins Park. That won't be a practice. That'll be hey, look around. Oh my gosh, this is neat. Hey, there's a palm tree. That's not going to be a practice. So they're just running out of time. And again, like I said in the mailbag, at the end of the day, as cool as this is, it is going to be neat. It is going to be looks really great on TNT and Sportsnet. It's one of 82. There is no, this game is no bigger than Tuesday night in Carolina was. You're playing the Rangers. It's just a game, and you do not want to rush Matthew Tkachuk into something like this for one, so we'll see. Will he
George, I have a
play?
thought.
Maybe. I don't know.
There's so many NHL players that don't like Matthew. Maybe what we could do is just have him stand at a wall and we'll just let them take runs at him and he can feel that getting hit over and over again. And then he'll be ready to go.
There you go. I'm
Yeah,
sure
I
he's
don't know.
thought of it. I'm sure he's thought of that.
I'm sure there's some volunteers.
I'm
some
sure
guys who'd
I'm
love to
sure he
come
would.
and
Yeah, he'd set up a thing, and you could all come down to the Iceplex and
just take a run.
yeah, and then he'd be dropping in at you, so it'd be
Elbow up for sure. Well, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, it does feel like the kind of epic thing, just based on like how Matthew started the game against Canada in the Four Nations face-off. Like, it does feel like the epic thing to not announce he's going to play until he walks out for the Winter Classic. It could happen, but we never know. So until we know, we don't know, right?
right.
But man, this is Winter Classic week, and George, this will probably be our last show together before the Winter Classic with all the games next week. So let's get some final things in there. I got a fun graphic for us here. Look at that, the Winter Classic.
Hey,
I
like. Did you make this?
I did not. I think the NHL put this out.
Oh,
actually,
okay, that's good. I like the flamingos, the iced up flamingos.
Yeah, I like the iced up flamingos. It's fun. So we have the Winter Classic. Is it powered by Discovered? However they say it. It's going to be a fantastic event. We've talked a lot about it over the last couple of weeks. But George, you got a chance to go down to the Lone Depot Park. I know, my friend, and write an article for NHL.com and talk a little bit about that. So let's throw one of your pictures up here, and you can kind of set the scene for us as to what are we looking at here. You took this picture with your iPhone, I assume.
This is an iPhone photo, and I zoomed it out a little bit so you could kind of picture the outfield. So I'll tell you what, I was pleasantly surprised. I've been telling people don't sit here in the outfield. Don't sit in the outfield because you're going to have the jumbotron to your back. But you know what? Because of the size of this park, there are no foul. I don't know why I'm pointing. There's such small foul. There's no foul room, and I forgot about this at Lone Depot Park. The field is basically right up against the walls, so it's very intimate. This is coming out of the right field corner. I'm in the club section. That's a pretty good hockey seat. That's not bad at all. You're going to have all the stuff around the field, all the activities going on. You're still going to want to watch a little bit of the jumbotron for the replays and stuff, but it's not bad. So even sitting out in right center into left field, well, left field you can see there doesn't seem to be too many bad seats. The worst seats I think are going to be the ones that are down low.
Yeah,
actually, the lower you are, the worse it is because you're not going to be able to see it much.
Well, it's interesting too because I was looking at your picture here, and actually I have another one that's I think you took. It's a little closer.
Right.
And I was looking at
that's
your
a true shot. That wasn't pulled out for effect. That was just a straight shot. Yeah.
And I'm looking at the seats behind it there, and it really doesn't look like there's going to be a lot of places unless you're in that bottom, dugout club area. If you're in that upper elevated area over the dugouts, and then it looks like you're going to have a great view from right there.
Yeah, it's not going to be bad. Yeah. So again, pretty intimate ballpark. What did I write I forgot what they told me what the capacity is. 35,600, I think, is what they're going with for the capacity.
Sounds right.
So yeah, it's going to be fun. I think they one of the things that they talked about was parking, get there early, take tri-rail. And I brought up take what did I say? Yeah, by tri-rail. Brightline's going to have a thing. It's the Orange Bowl, man. you can park in somebody's yard for $15-20 and you'll be okay too. So there is parking. It is a neighborhood. Don't park on the street. They are going to tow or ticket you. Those signs are not just there for decoration. Unless you've got a special parking pass, you cannot park on the streets around the ballpark for night events. They will tow you or ticket you or do something, boot you. I don't know what they do. But people in their yards do sell parking spots. That's a good way to go too. So
Well, and I
anyway,
think I
you
looked
got
I looked
options,
yesterday.
Josh.
Yeah, I looked yesterday and there was still some parking available in the parking garages as well. So you can
Yeah.
go on and get your thing. It's one of those deals where you put your license plate number in and then you
Yes.
just show up and you park. There's no actual
Right.
physical parking pass. But yeah, definitely don't just, go without a plan. Have a plan, to either
Have a
try to
plan.
find parking nearby or take the bright line or one of those things. But I think we talked about this before, George. I was at the gold medal game at the World Baseball Classic in Lone Depot Park a couple of years ago, and it was definitely a hassle to find parking, but it wasn't as hard as I thought it would be. Like you said, I ended up parking in someone's yard. I think I paid
Yeah.
him $25. So you'll be able to find it, and you're going to want to be there early. One of the things that they kind of started to roll out, the NHL has been rolling out some of the activations that are going to be available in the Fan Fest area, which starts earlier in the afternoon. So this is not like the best map, but this is kind of what they put out. But they're going to have a whole bunch of activations around the park with all sorts of different partners and sponsors. And some of those things will be coming out here even as we get closer to the event. But don't miss out on some of the really fun things they're going to have. A Q&A with Wayne Gretzky. The great one himself is going to be taking place down there. They're going to have some meet and greets with NHL alumni. I know a couple of the sponsors mentioned in their little description of what they were going to be doing that they'll have some NHL alumni around to sign autographs and take pictures. You're not going to want to miss that. And there's all sorts of other things, including the Stanley Cup is going to be at the Fan Fest. You can take a picture. If you haven't got a chance to do that yet, you can go take a picture with the Stanley Cup, do the little two thing that everybody does, back to back. So there's some awesome opportunities there at the Fan Fest. And then they're going to be doing the TNT broadcast live from the Fan Fest pregame as well. And you'll be able to see that, kind of like how they do College Game Day. If you've ever watched the College Game Day, they have a crowd around them and they're doing it live. That's going to be happening down there as well as a concert from George's favorite up and coming artist, Role Model. Role Model is going to be there at the pregame festival doing a concert. And then, of course, he's also going to play during pregame intermission as well.
And there might be a special guest too coming. Somebody told me that the NHL might have a special musical guest, so we'll see.
Yeah, so there's some fun stuff there, and everybody's just getting hyped up for the Winter Classic. And if you haven't got yourself, I know that everybody's still in the Christmas spirit, but starting today, December 26th, if you're a Florida Panther fan, it's time to get in the Winter Classic spirit, right? And it's a different thing. You don't have to leave out milk and cookies, but you do have to leave out wings for George. You don't have to sing songs, but you do have to hum the Zamboni song. There's some things that has to be done to put yourself in the Winter Classic spirit. And one of the best ways that you can do that, George, at least I think one of the best ways that you can do that is to watch TNT's Road to the Winter Classic show. It's been airing each week. There'll be one more episode here before the actual Winter Classic itself. And they showed some really fun stuff in this last episode. George, I know you watched it. And one of the things that they showed was the Christmas decor going on in the Panthers lounge there at the Baptist Health Iceplex.
Some cool stuff.
Fort Lauderdale.
They had some cool stuff. Yeah.
And so I thought, well, let's watch this little clip of Anton Lundell talking on this episode of TNT's Road to the Winter Classic. And then we'll just talk about how fun this is of a show if you're a Panther fan and how you can watch it to get yourself hyped up for the Winter Classic. Let's watch it.
This is our meal room. Somebody really went all out here. As you can see, this is a real Christmas land right now. I honestly don't know who made this, but we were on a road trip and this was like this when we showed up. Some guys like to fish. Santa Claus has a fish in his hand. Here he is. just watching us, making sure we're behaving ourselves, and even the rats with us here. Christmas in Florida, palm trees, Christmas trees, Santa Clauses, and the sun.
A Florida Christmas is certainly unique, and this time of year, so are the decorations in the Panthers player lounge. No matter how odd it may seem to someone like center Anton Lundell, whose Christmas memories are not quite the same, having grown up in Finland.
So that's a pretty fun little look at that show. But they're following these guys around and showing what they're doing. And isn't that little players' lounge area really fun, George?
Yeah, very nice. I like the what is it, Santa Claus on an airboat. They also had an inflatable. I think there was an inflatable Santa riding an alligator.
Nice.
Yeah, the palm trees with the salt shakers were pretty nice. But let me tell you a little secret, a little story about the Christmas tree. And this wasn't in the players' lounge. This was more towards the door to the parking lot at the Iceplex. So, anywho, quick story, Josh. Story time, folks. They walked into the to the complex on Saturday before the St. Louis Blues game, and somebody just goes up to the Christmas tree and goes, "Oh, that's odd." There was something on top of the Christmas tree. It was a bright green iguana that had snuck into the building. But some, because they've got these, those Publix doors that slide open, like when some, the magnetic thing, whatever, the motion detector. So apparently, an iguana set off the motion detector, got into the complex, and made its home in the Christmas tree right by the door, as iguanas do. Iguanas like trees. It saw a tree. It went up the tree. It was gigantic. It was bright neon green. And they don't have those in Finland. I'll tell you that, Josh. So, iguanas in the Florida Panthers Christmas tree.
Only in Florida do you have to worry about the iguanas. They're everywhere. And when it gets cold, you got to worry that they're going to freeze and fall out of a tree and kill grandma.
We might have some fallen iguanas this week.
I know.
We got a cold snap coming, buddy.
I know. Tell us about that. We one of the biggest things that came out in the last couple of days is the idea that it could actually be cold in Miami.
It actually could be. Yeah. I saw the channel said the WSVN weather. They're calling it an Arctic chill blowing south. So and it's gonna come south enough that we're gonna feel effects of it. Apparently, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day is going to be absolutely beautiful. It's going to be chilly at night. It could be 50 degrees at night, and that would be perfect. The big thing is the humidity. Somebody asked me in the mailbag if it's cool enough, could they open the roof earlier? I don't think they're going to, just because they want to keep that air conditioning in the building as long as they can. Plus, you got sun, that kind of thing. Sun and the ice don't mix, so you want to keep it covered. But yeah, they're going to open up that roof, and maybe they open it up half an hour earlier, but we'll see. The Panthers and Rangers are going to be practicing on it on New Year's Day during the daytime, not at night. The game's going to be at night. The practices are in the day. So I don't think that they're going to open the roof during the day, even if it's in the 60s, because you're going to lose all that air conditioning. So, but we'll see.
Got to wait for the big moment for sure. And honestly, with the roof closed, I don't think it's going to dampen the experience for them of understanding what it's going to look like. And
no, it's going to look cool. Right.
Come out when it's time at night.
And they might even appreciate the game even more. I remember I was covering baseball. It might have been this season. I was talking, the Marlins don't open that roof very often either. The Marlins only open it in like the early months of spring, maybe at the end of the season if it cools off a little bit. But very rarely is that roof open for Marlins games. So the Atlanta Braves were in town, and we were doing a media thing with the manager of the Braves, and the roof was open, and he had never seen it open. He was like, "This is a completely different experience when the roof is open. It just looks like a dome when it's closed. There's really not. It's a nice ballpark. I love Marlins Park. Don't get me wrong. It's a beautiful ballpark. But with the roof closed, okay, At least we're going to play ball here. But when the roof is open, it's gorgeous, and it's going to be a neat experience come January to next Friday night. When they open that roof and they play hockey under the stars, because there's zero chance of rain according to the forecast. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Humidity's going to be low. It's looking like it's going to be perfect.
Yeah, it's perfect. And like I said, you got to get in that Winter Classic spirit, get yourself hyped up for it. I saw all sorts of people posting about their holiday gifts of Winter Classic jerseys and merchandise or tickets. And there are still tickets available, a handful. I saw still a few available for the Winter Classic. And I'm just going to tell you right now, if you didn't get tickets for it because you said, yeah, I'm not going to be able to see the game that well, and who cares about the rain? You are going to regret not going to this game. You're going
I
to.
think so.
If you're a hockey fan and you like the Panthers, or if you're just a sports fan and you just like, you're probably a Panther fan if you're watching this show, let's be honest. But if you like them, you're going to want to be there and experience all that there is to experience there, between the fan fest and the arena and the roof being open and George Richards being there. It's going to be incredible.
And I know a lot of people have been, worried about the traffic and, driving to Miami and all that. Nobody's working on January 2nd. It's a 4-day weekend, just like this weekend is. There's not going to be any traffic. I drive to Lone Depot Park to cover baseball, 40 minutes, whatever it is, from I live by the arena. It takes 45 minutes to get there. With no track, it is a little bit of a haul, but you're not going to have to be sitting in bumper to bumper traffic on the Palmetto unless there's an accident or something. But
yeah, and there's other opportunities,
and there's other ways to get there. Right? I don't take
line.
The Bright Line, but some people do take the Bright Line.
And the Bright Line's offering a shuttle service from their Miami station to Lone Depot. So there's
a special ticket, right? There's a special Bright Line ticket, and you get a ride to and from,
So make sure that you get tickets and you head down there for January 2nd. Well, it's been a crazy year, George. It's been a banner year for the Florida Panthers. And I thought, this is our last show before the new year, because we'll not have another podcast till after the Winter Classic. So I was thinking that we should just kind of talk about the major moments of this year for the Florida Panthers, what they've done, what they've accomplished, what they've seen. And of course, the biggest moment of the year was the resurrection of our podcast. Like, I'm just gonna throw that out there.
Yeah. No.
Everybody knows that.
People have been talking.
Yeah. So we know that. You don't have to put that one out there. But one of them is coming to fruition right now. January 8th of this year, the NHL announces the Winter Classic. That was a big moment, right? Coming to fruition. Yeah. George Richards had been predicting it for a decade. And it finally came to pass. So that was a big moment. And now the Panthers have hosted several major NHL events in the last few years. The All-Star Game a few years ago, 2 Stanley Cup championships, plus another Stanley Cup final where they lost against the Vegas Golden Knights. And now the Winter Classic. I think the NHL executive team is getting used to coming down here to Fort Lauderdale and staying in the hotels out there by the beach. I think they're enjoying that. So
I was talking. A couple of the NHL folks were at the ballpark, and they were like, "George, we're not used to seeing you. When it's in the winter time. It's usually in the dead of summer. So they're used to coming here, and it all started with that All-Star Game. That was a lot of fun, and if you remember that, the NHL put on a heck of a show with that too. So they totally bought into the whole beach thing. People had a blast with that. They're going to have a blast with this.
Another big moment, March 1st. March 1st was the day that the Florida Panthers traded Spencer Knight in a package to the Chicago Blackhawks and acquired Seth Jones. And Seth Jones was a major part of the Panthers' end of the season efforts and playoffs, and of course is now locked in here with the Florida Panthers, big part of the defense. What do you think about that, George? Just a major shift, tonal shift defensively for the Panthers there?
I thought it was and I said it at the time, we didn't have the podcast going back then. It was a great trade for both teams. The Chicago Blackhawks got the starting goalie that they needed. It was great for Spencer Knight. He gets his own team to kind of grow around. And Seth Jones got out of a bad situation in Chicago, because when he signed there, it was under different circumstances. This was not a team that he was needed to be playing on. He was trying to carry the load. He came to Florida and he could just be himself again. It worked out for the Blackhawks. It worked out for the Panthers. It worked out for Seth Jones, and it worked out for Spencer Knight. So it worked out for all sides. It worked out exactly how it should be. Nobody who won the trade. They both did. They both won the trade.
Yeah, the Blackhawks end up with a franchise starting goaltender, and of course the Panthers go on for playoff success. We'll bring that up in a minute as one of the big moments.
Okay.
Next one, March 7th, just 6 days after the Seth Jones trade, the Panthers, in a final buzzer beater trade deadline move, acquire Brad Marchand. Brad Marchand, the former captain of the Boston Bruins, longtime NHL superstar, joins the Panthers and of course has some success. Do you think that was a big culture shifting moment there, George?
He's hurt, right? They traded for an injured Brad. I mean, how good can the guy be? I mean, seriously, he's hurt. He didn't even play for. Yeah, it was a big move. Unbelievable. That was a great move by Florida. Great move for Brad. Florida thought that he was going to be able to give them some added juice. I don't think they expected that much added juice. I certainly don't think they expected what he's given them this season. You talk about a perfect addition to the Florida Panthers. Brad Marchand was it. He gets a new contract. He's happy he's just thrilled to be here. And it's paid off. I mean, listen, he again, I was joking. He was hurt when he came, didn't play for a couple weeks, seemed to struggle a bit to fit in. Some fans, I don't even know if I don't think they were joking. They were like, I think this guy was sent here by Boston to derail our season. I mean, he just did. What do you have? 1 assist in like 15 games or something? And then the puck drops in Tampa, and Brad Marchand's back. It hasn't stopped since. So Brad Marchand, heck of a move.
Yeah, definitely a cultural change and shift there for the Panthers. And then, of course, the Florida Panthers win the 2025 Stanley Cup, their second in a row, back-to-back Stanley Cup champions. Huge moment, obviously, for the team. And then a few weeks later, they sign Brad Marchand, Sam Bennett, and Aaron Ekblad to long-term contract extension. So it's been quite a year in 2025 for the Florida Panthers.
No, it certainly has. A lot of new faces, a lot of, can you imagine a time when the Panthers didn't have Seth Jones and Brad Marchand? I mean, right? They feel like they've been here forever, and it hasn't even been a year, right? So
been 6
you just kind of glossed over the Stanley Cup like it's old hat. I know, I get it. All right, I get it, Josh. It's old hat. Nah. Stanley Cup.
We win these all the time.
Back to back. Yeah, heck of a run. Heck of a run by the Panthers. Heck of a run by Bill Zito and his front office. Heck of a run by Roberto Luongo and his goalie of excellence department. Heck of a run by Paul Maurice and his coaching staff. Sasha Barkov, captain of the team, his leadership committee with Aaron. It just goes on and on. The Joe at the ticket sale. I mean, it's just been a great year all around for the Florida Panthers, and anybody who is involved with the organization has to be enjoying this immensely. You got Matthew Caldwell, the team president. He ends up getting a big deal with the NBA's Minnesota Timberwolves. So Sean Thornton moves on to the Atlanta Hawks. I mean, just so you've got NBA teams rating the Florida Panthers for front office executives. I mean, who would have thought that 15 years ago? So, everything's coming up roses for the Panthers.
Quite a year. And it's one of those things where I like to tell Panther fans, these are the days you're going to remember, right?
Yeah.
10, 15, 20 years.
And they're not over. They're not over.
They're
We're
not
right
over.
in the middle of them. Yeah.
Right. But these are the days you're going to remember. And, George, this is pretty wild. I got a fax today. Can you believe
fax?
That? I got a fax. It's the first fax I've gotten in a long time.
I got a Western Union the other day.
That's cool. Fax.
You don't even know what that
South. I something with wire transfers. Um, from the South Pole, not the North
Okay.
Pole, South Pole.
Not the North. Okay.
Stanley Claus. Stanley Claus sent me a list. You know Stanley. Stanley
Yeah.
Claus.
Yeah.
And it's really an interesting list, and he wanted me to share it on the show. And it's Stanley Claus's naughty and nice list
Oh
from
boy.
Christmas.
All right.
And usually after Christmas, we don't get to see this list. We kind of figure out who was on the naughty and the nice list based on how much coal.
You can do the math, right?
Yeah,
You
you
can
can
right
figure it
after
out.
the fact. You're right, but you can't.
Right,
You don't
but-
know it before the. Yeah, right.
Yeah, but Stanley Claus at the South Pole, he doesn't, hits a whole different metric. He uses advanced stats. It's a different thing. So he sent me his nice and naughty list. And so I thought we would start with the bad news. We'd start with the naughty list.
All right.
And then we'll read the naughty list. So this is Stanley Claus's nice and naughty list for the Florida Panthers franchise in the 2025-26 season so far. Naughty list, it's not good. Slow starts
Yeah.
for the team.
They've had a few of those, eh?
They've had a few of those.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. Slow starts, you don't like them.
Don't like
But
them.
but on the flip side, fast finishes have to be on the.
True.
So.
Big finishes, right? But yeah, slow starts. I think that's been a struggle for the Panthers this year. Got to figure out how to get that under control.
Paul Maurice said it. He can't get his team ready. He took the blame already for it. So.
Yeah, well, let Stanley Claus know,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And then the second thing there's only two, which is good. Only two things on the naughty list. The power play. The power play. He writes a little note here. Power play 1 looks gift wrapped on some nights and tangled lights on others. Right?
Yeah, are we talking about this year or this season?
Yeah, this year.
Yeah,
This
I mean, there have been some continuity problems there with the power play, and I think that they know that they've got the talent to run it. I think Seth Jones has done a nice job up top with it. Aaron Ekblad's getting back into it. It's just one of those things. I don't have a problem with Florida's power play, so you talk to I'll talk to Stanley Claus later, but I think the power play's been effective at times, and more so than not, I think they've been fun.
Okay. All right. We'll let Stanley know. But the nice list. This is what I thought was great. He has a lot of great names on the nice list. I'm just going to read through these. We'll talk about him a little bit. But first on the nice list, he put Sergei Bobrovsky, which he's a nice guy, right? But he calls him, this is what Stanley Claus says. He says he's a stocking stuffer. He keeps stuffing the puck and not letting it in. With shutouts and milestone wins and clutch third period work, he makes the nice list. Sergei Bobrovsky has been fantastic for the Florida Panthers this season so far. We talked about that a little bit earlier.
I'll go with it.
Hopefully Sergei got a good gift from Stanley. Brad Marchand, we've been talking about him today, calls him the candy cane closer. He's been helping get those goals and closing games, getting some goals and assists, some points there. And we talked a moment ago about Brad and how he's just been such a clutch performer ever since he came from Boston. He heated up in those playoffs, had some major goals in the Stanley Cup final. And Brad has continued to be one of the most prolific point producers here for the Florida Panthers at the end of the season. So definitely Brad makes the nice list. Have any disagreements so far? Any disagreements?
No, just good.
No,
just read them.
I just want to make sure Stanley, checks in with you. Sam Reinhart. Now, this is an interesting thing that Stanley calls him. He calls him Santa's little sniper.
Okay.
Santa's little sniper. He's been scoring goals, and he had a 3-assist performance in the comeback against the Carolina Hurricanes.
He had a big game. Yeah. And he scored one of the shootout goals.
Yeah, and it's not this season, but 4-goal game against Edmonton in the Stanley Cup clinching game. So he's definitely been everything he needs to be. Sam Bennett made the nice list, which I don't know if he'd make everybody's nice list, but he makes Stanley's nice list.
Not from the
Sam
North
Bennett.
Pole. That's definitely from the South Pole. Not
this
the
is
North
from the
Pole.
South Pole. Yeah. 10-second tree topper. That's what he calls him because of his goal 10 seconds into the game, third period against the LA Kings the other day, and of course his overtime heroics and stuff But yeah, so Sam Bennett makes the nice list, not for some, but for Stanley Claus, he does, and he's
Yeah.
helping a lot of dogs get adopted. We can't forget that. Every
I
time
cannot.
Sam
Yeah,
Bennett
yeah. Benny's
scores a
buddies.
goal,
Yeah,
Benny's
at the
buddies.
Broward County Humane Society in Dania Beach. They got merch available now, so check it
Yeah,
out.
make sure you get some of that. Carter Verhage makes the nice list with a new dad heater, right? He's been doing the new dad thing. He's been scoring a bunch of goals, so of course he makes the nice list. And then this is my favorite one here. Stanley wrote Aaron Ekblad and Gustav Forsling. That he calls them a duo of Grinches. Why? Because they stop the best players on the other team from scoring goals, right?
There you
They
go.
take
They are
away their
Grinchy.
presence. Yes, very
Yeah.
Grinchy, but in the best way, right?
Yeah.
So he puts them on there. And then last but not least, AJ Greer and Noah Gregor together make the final cut for Santa's nice list, Stanley Claus's nice list. Elves on the forecheck and high energy shifts all season and helping get the team fired up for their next shift. So that was something he sent over to me. He wanted us
All
to read
right.
it on the show.
Well, I'm glad
So,
you got the facts. Just the
I
facts,
can't
man.
believe the fax machine still works, to be honest with you.
I didn't think you
shocked by
still had a number for it, so.
Yeah, it's crazy. I haven't paid that bill in forever. Well, hey,
Okay.
we have one more thing before we go, George. We have a giveaway to our good listeners. This is kind of fun. We were given something to give away, and we're really excited to do that. So if you've been listening to the show or watching on YouTube, we would like the opportunity to give you a little Christmas present with this puck signed by one of the Grinches himself, Gustav Forsling. Okay, so this is pretty cool. I kind of pan in there. Yeah,
It's like 3D.
And yeah, like ooh. But Gustav Forsling signed this puck, and we're gonna give it away to one of our listeners. I'm gonna mail it to you next week. And so if you would like a chance to win that, here be the rules. You have to follow our channel, okay? Follow the Florida Hockey Now YouTube channel. Subscribe, smash that like button. You got to be a follower in order to win. And then you need to share an episode of the podcast. It doesn't have to be this episode. It can be any episode of the podcast on your social media. So share a link to that and say, hey, I enjoy listening to the Florida Panthers Insider Podcast.
Sharing is caring.
Sharing is caring. There's some great episodes. You could share the Bill Zito episode from earlier in the season. You could share Noah Gregor or Mackie Samoskevich were on the show. We've had a bunch of other great media guests. Make sure you throw that out there, share it, and then comment on this video, this episode in the YouTube comments. Something, about the episode, something nice,
Or just say, I want the Forsling puck.
Say, yeah, I want the puck. Give it to me.
I want the puck, man.
Yeah, put whatever you want to put, but comment on this episode, and we're going to pick one lucky winner, and they are going to win this beautiful Forsling signed puck. This will be a great addition to your hockey collection. You can put it on the mantle by the TV, and you can think about Gustav Forsling and
put it on the mantle, eh? Yep.
Yeah. So make sure that you enter the contest. That's going to be fun. We're going to have some more of those coming up in the new year as well. So that does it, I think, mostly for this edition. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us wherever you get podcasts. Wherever podcasts are sold, you can find us there. And another place you can find us is at Florida Hockey Now. That's right. The best website on the internet, I've heard it said. And that is George's website, where, of course, he has continuous coverage of the Florida Panthers, all sorts of great stuff. Make sure that you check out continuous every day. It's always there. You can subscribe. You can become a subscriber to the podcast or to the website. You'll get emails in your inbox with the stuff that George is doing and no ads, which everybody loves. So check that out, FloridaHockeyNow.com. Make that your homepage, your go-to source for Florida Panthers news and information. All right, George, anything else you want to say to our friends before we head out to finish celebrating our 12 days of Christmas, culminating in the Winter Classic?
Well, just thank you to everybody that's been supporting us all these years at Florida Hockey Now. And and this year with the Florida Panthers Insider Podcast. This has been great, Josh. I've enjoyed doing it with you. We're going to continue it into the new year. Busy week. This is going to be a really busy week. We got a lot going on, both hockey. We got the Orange Bowl game in town. We got the Hurricanes in Dallas. There's a lot. The Dolphins. Hey, the Miami Dolphins still have some games left. So let's not forget about them.
Not
So
good
yeah,
ones.
very busy. Sorry. Happy New Year to everybody. Happy New Year to you, Josh. I will see you in Miami at the Winter Classic. And I hope that if you ever see us out and about, come say hello. We enjoy talking to you all. And thanks again. Thanks again for listening, watching, and reading all these years. And we'll see you.
All right, guys. Merry Christmas. We love you, Panthers Nation. See you at the Winter Classic in Miami.